Hey everybody, welcome back to Unboxing the Underground. I am here tonight with writer-director Éric Falardeau, who is the multifaceted filmmaker behind the 2012 horror feature Thanatomorphose, as well as many music videos and short films such as The Thing from the Lake and Asmodeus, among many, many others. Éric, thanks so much for being here tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Of course. So to kick it off, what was your very first foray into the filmmaking world and what drew you to the specific medium?
Okay, I've been shooting movies since the turn of the last millennium, so it's around 2000, 2001. I first started by making film during my undergrad studies. There was a movement that just started in Quebec, which was called the Kino, where you had to shoot a movie a month and you screen that in front of an audience, and well, you learn by making mistakes and trying stuff and seeing the people, the audience react to what you were doing. So that's pretty much how I started. Didn't started with horror film actually. I was co-directing with my now editor Benoit Lemire, so we were making mostly comedy films. And at one point, I wanted to start making my own project, my personal project, and it led to me to do horror films. So my first one was in 2005 or six, and it's called La Petite Mort, which is a really short film, and 3 minutes long. So it was my first foray into horror films, but I was a big fan like for all my life, since I was able to watch movies. I remember watching horror films, so it made sense that I was drawn to that. And yeah, so it kind of all led to trying to do what I learned about having audience react to my movies, mainly comedy, but seeing how people are drawn into a movie, how you can create some reactions and stuff like that. So I tried to apply what I've learned there when I was making my horror film to get yeah, feelings from the audience. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the conceptualization of Thanatomorphose as your first feature? What were your influences in coming up with that story? Because it's so visceral and disturbing and quite wonderful in its way. And what was the writing of that screenplay like?
Actually, the screenplay, I wrote it in 2009, so 3 years prior to the release. Even 2008, I think. Well, anyway, like 3 or 4 years before the release. What happened is that I was making my master thesis at that time, which was about bodily fluids in gore and porn film. So I was, yeah, heavily into that kind of movies and the theories and everything, like studies and all that kind of stuff. So at one point, yeah, it just made sense to try to do something that was linked to all these ideas I was um, um, developing on a conceptual level in my master thesis. So there was that part where the inspiration came from. The other thing is that at that time, well, I wasn't really feeling really well, so I guess it was a way to yeah, to just simply express I was feeling about myself and life at that moment, that precise moment in time. And yeah, so these things both mixed together, and it led to Thanatomorphose. Prior to being able to shoot the movie, I did a short film, which was Crépuscule. It was a stop motion animated film with creatures that look like angels and stuff like that. Why I say that? It's that because it's because of these films that I was able to make Thanatomorphose because I got funding from the government to make the short film. So I decided like to get keep money and reuse it to shoot Thanatomorphose because I knew that with the screenplay that I had, it would have been impossible to found as it was. Like people must understand that in Canada, there's not really an private there's not really private producers that like invest their own money in making movies, so it's all government funded more or less, except like some independent project like Thanatomorphose. So it's kind of hard to be able to do these kind of movies on a smaller scale, but also just because that's not the kind of thing that the government will put their money into. Well, at that time, and I don't think that today they will put money into Thanatomorphose, maybe some other stuff, but not that. So that's how it came to be too. I was able, because I wrote the script and I've tried to do a crowdfunding at that time, and it was really the start of crowdfunding, so it didn't really worked. So I was a bit like stuck with, okay, I want to do the movie, but how could I do it? The short film, we were lucky to get found for that one, and that helped uh, do Thanatomorphose. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on in my life at that moment, and it all led to the strange movie that we did. Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about the collaborative process with your lead actress, Kaden Rose? How early was she involved with the film, and just how did you get her into the headspace of that character for such a demanding role? And did you kind of know as soon as you had written it that you were going to need somebody to be able to kind of meet your material?
Yeah, that was one of the main thing because she's she's the central character, yes, but she's there you follow her from the start to from the beginning to the end of the movie, and if the there was two important thing when I wrote the movie. I was sure that I needed an actress that was able to convey the emotion that I wanted to get through to the audience, and the special effects, because I was like, okay, it's all linked to that. There's special effects from start to finish, and she's there from start to finish, and she has that big dramatic arc that she had to deliver. So I didn't knew Caden while I was writing the script. Actually, I was writing the script, and at one moment, in fact, I saw her in a short film. She did a couple of short film prior to making Thanatomorphose, but she mainly did modeling, and even a little bit afterward, she did modeling, but she's not doing that anymore, and she's not acting too. Maybe one day she will get or she will want to do another project. But yeah, so I saw her in short films, and I was like, okay, there was something in her the way that she looked at things, the way her eyes were reacting. I was like, oh wow, she's amazing. She's really cool, and she might be perfect for the role. So I just wrote to her, sent her the script, and she was like, ew. Not sure, you know. Needed to be naked all the time. It's pretty gruesome. It will be hard. So yeah, we did a couple of calls. I explained to her what I wanted to do, that the goal wasn't to sexualize her, and it wasn't really that kind of thing. Explained to her what I've told you about how I felt, how it's not me, just me in the script, because I kind of change or go somewhere else, but there was a lot of myself into the script, and she understood really clearly what I wanted to do. So she got into the project, and what we decided to do is like to because of the special effects, but also for her to be able to stay and to deliver the performance that was required. We decided to shoot the movie in order. So it's pretty much shot in order because I wanted her to feel like um how it was the weight of having to go every day and to get into that and then to get makeup every day, and then it took longer and longer, and she would grow tired by the end of the shoot. So it was all meant to help her to get into that special place or space, but also to be able to have her body plays against her. What I mean is that like she if she is tired, her body will show that she's tired. It's like everybody. So there's a part that actors can play, but sometimes it's fun to have them experience stuff because their body will convey it even if they want or they won't or they don't want. So we agreed to work like that. So she was conscious of what what she was getting into, and I must say at the end it was really hard for her because there was a long hour in the makeup chair for the special effects, and she had to do all these tough scenes by the end of the movie. It's all tough. It's hard from start to finish, but still, when you get to the near the end, it gets a bit easier. So so she knew what she had to go through, and yeah, it was difficult for her. And I knew afterwards she needed like just a break and and to do some other stuff. But yeah, it was really fun and great that she agreed um, to push herself to these limits and to uh, experiment with me to get that kind of performance out of her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's truly. I mean, I can only say I've never seen anything quite like it. Her progression from, normal at the beginning to what she ultimately becomes in the end is harrowing and also just an incredible piece of art. What was her reaction when it was like? Did you show her dailies every day, or like what was it like when she first saw any footage of herself in the makeup?
Oh, she really liked it, and she was really amazed. And she didn't saw herself. She saw herself. I mean, it's her, but she really said to me, "Well, that's the character. It's not myself. It's really it works. It works what we tried to do and what we agreed to, how we agreed to work to get to that place." So she was really happy to see that and feel it, and yeah, it was really. Even today, like when I sometimes spoke to her, like she's really fond of the experience. She really liked it doing the movie, not during, not while we were shooting, but afterward. She was really, yeah, she really had a lot of fun, and all the time she says, "Oh, okay, it was the best shoot that she ever did," and then if I have another project with her one day, she'd gladly come back. So we'll see, maybe one day, but yeah, yeah, she really was like surprised, and she understood what I said to her about how she looked, I think, her eyes. Like because yeah, it might sound a bit how can I say that in English? I'm sorry, I'm French speaking
You're
Canadian, so
fine, you're fine.
sometimes words are don't come as fast as I might want. But I told her to sometime when she looked at stuff at that time in her life, um, she seemed like a bit like dead inside, as if there was nothing,
Mhm.
and that's what I wanted. And she was like, well, yeah, it's a bit, thanks, but no thanks. But yeah, she understood when she saw herself. Said, yeah, okay, you feel that she's disconnected, like, and she really was amazed that that I saw her into her, and that I saw that she was able to do it. So yeah, she was really happy. Yeah.
So you mentioned like how much time was dedicated on set to applying the makeup. When it became clear to you as the writer director how much the film would rely on practical effects, what was the process like of finding the right team to make it happen on screen? And so that
Yeah, actually, it was quite easy because I've been making horror film, like as I said, since 2005. So I did a lot of all my short film involved special makeups effects, practical effects. So what I had to do was more about thinking how we can manage to get these effects on screen with the budget that we had. So, s- so some stuff that I decided not to do was, for example, I wanted to shoot on film. Didn't shoot on film, put the money on special effects. You see that kind of thing. But it was to work closely with two guys. One is Rémi Couture, that people might know because he's the one behind infamous website and short film Inner Depravity that led him in court in Quebec here, and David Cherra, which is European makeup artist that I knew from France because of the festival circuit. And by working with them, it was easy to say, okay, guys, how can we split the work? And also, how can we manage um, to get what I wanted on screen with what we had, as I said, as a budget. What was great is that since Remy uh, directed his own short film in the Depravity and photo shoot, he understood how we must block scenes and how we must frame stuff, and that sounds afterward will be very useful. So he understood what I had to do as a director to get everything working on screen. And same thing with David. David has a lot of he has a big knowledge of film, horror film history, so and practical effects stuff. So it was easy to say, okay, I know that it might. I don't need like you to do a full prosthetic head. I just need the back of the head, and we will shoot it that way, and we'll put sound, and then we will be that, and we will cut with that. And it was easy to do it. What was fun to do though was that it doesn't show when I don't say it, but the movie is really well, it's separated in three acts or three parts, which was not that common at the time. Now everyone is doing that kind of stuff, but so people who discover the film today sometimes like, oh, okay, that's not quite original, but at the time it wasn't that common, but we decided to have specific look for each part of the movie, which was also well, first for the cinematography. So there were special lights, and we decided to use certain colors, but it was the same thing with special effects. So we start with samplers, special effect makeups, like just making brews and with like makeup effects, like really simple makeup stuff. And then in the second part, we have prosthetic, we have all that kind of stuff. And the last part of the movie, it's a full body suit that she has, and then all that. So we decided to have three different look for the special effects. So that was another way to be able to uh, to do it, but also to have a progression, so to have a kind of arc also in the way our body decays and how it is shown on screen with special effects. So that was really cool working with the David and Remy to get that on screen. Yeah.
Do you think you would have approached it any differently if you were able to shoot on film, or like visually, did you capture what it is you originally had in your head if you had shot on celluloid?
Um, I'd say it would probably be more experimental than it is because I had some idea of having the film decays too during the movie, so I thought and that kind of stuff. So maybe it would have been a little bit too artsy fartsy, even though it is actually. But I do think it will have been more experimental in the way it would have been done if we had shot on film. That said, I was really happy to work with digital camera. At that time, it was DSLR because like the red and all that kind of stuff wasn't really available and it costed too much. And it was anyway, these camera was in their first iteracy, so it was kind of impossible to get it. But we decided to work with lenses to have that kind of depth of field, and we wanted to use l- some low light because we knew that it wouldn't look digital or too digital if we'd go that way. So we really tried to maximize the capacity of the camera that we had. Um, and that's how we managed to get anyway what I wanted. But for sure, it would have been really different. I just like for Asmodeus, we shot on super 8 millimeter film, and it's really more experimental because I play with that. For me, when you use celluloid, there's a texture to it that you must acknowledge and play with. So yeah, it would have been more grainy. It would have been probably yeah, more experimental in his yeah in the final package, I'd say.
Right. As you made the jump here from shorts to features,
Hmm.
what did you find were the biggest differences for you as a director on set? And were there any things you kind of had to relinquish control of to your crew?
Hmm. Well, I'd say I've said earlier that I've shot a stop motion film prior to making that one, and the stop motion film was really exhausting. It was an exhausting process. It took us 3.5 months of shooting, like almost 7 days a week, and since we had long shots in my stop motion film, like there's a shot that lasts 1 minute and a half, so we had to shoot for 16 hours, that kind of crazy stuff. So for me, when I stepped on set for Thanatomorphose for the feature, it was like, oh yeah, yeah, life is beautiful. It's easier. It's way simpler. And I'm ready to tackle anything. So I transited into that mindset because it was really a hellish process to do the stop motion, not just because of the long days of shooting and all in the longer calendar that we had to deal with, but there we had a lot of problems like with the puppets, and there was a lot of stuff that didn't work, and it was really hellish. So jumping in the feature territory, I was like, okay, it's cool. The only thing I've but every director says that it's like what is difficult, it's like it's really a sprint because you're like for 30 days you have maybe 2 or 3 days off, and during these days you work anyway, and it's long, it's really physically challenging to direct movies, short film too, but on a different level, I'd say. um so yeah, it was that part was a little bit harder. But relying on my crew, I mean, I work with the same people for so long because when I found people that understand what I have in mind, that with whom I work well, it's for me it's way easier and I have more confidence. I don't have to like be over their shoulder all the time because they understand me, they understand how I express my ideas, and I know that they can deliver. So, so working with the same people, I'd say, was really the key to being able to get through that project. So I was talking about Benoit Lemire earlier. So he was working on set, art direction, the same people as I working with today again, Véronique Poirier. So I mean, it's that's I think to have a core, a theme that is really in tune with what you're trying to do most of the time is really the key to have a fun process, but also a less comment je pourrais dire ça? A less demanding one too. It's easier. It's really easier, and that's how I work. And that's how I like to work. Yeah.
What was the journey of the film like on the festival circuit, and how was it received when you first screened it to any audience at all?
Oh, the first time we screened it, it was for the premiere with the team and some friend and everything, and I just think that people were just they froze at the end. It was like, what happened? And then, whoa, okay, and you felt that kind of tension in the audience, and I'd say it was pretty much always like that in every festival that we went. When we screened the film at the end, it's like people are kind of breathless, so I really liked it. It really, it's really fun to when you manage to have people react the way you wanted them to react to one point. I'd say I was surprised because I was surprised that the movie was people understood the movie. Like most of the audiences that we went through understood the movie, so it was kind of they had that reaction, but afterward they talked a lot about it. They wanted to know, they liked it. So it was really surprising for me because I thought that I'd made a pretty dark movie. So I was like, okay, it would be hard to find an audience, and sometimes I probably have problem with some people and everything, but it that's not what happened exactly. There were maybe a couple of screening where I had to deal with people afterward that they didn't understand exactly what I wanted to do, and they were pissed off for some stuff, and they tried to like get me in a corner for something that I didn't even thought about. I was like, no, not really. That's not the goal that I wanted to do there. But anyway, but mainly it was really people were really Yeah, I got the movie. Um, and afterward, when I read bad reviews and stuff like that, most of the time the people that didn't like the movie, the reason why are the same that the ones that people like the movie are saying. So I was like, okay, I did something okay then because that it's divisive, but for the same reason. So that's okay. I'm fine with it. So, but I'd say it was I was pleasantly surprised about at how the movie was received at first because I was like, oh boy, okay, how will I be able to show it? There will be just a couple of festivals probably, and no, finally it really toured the world, and even today we're still talking about it, and there's releases and Blu-ray and DVDs, and then I'm always like amazed at special screenings, like in Montreal last year. We had a screening at the Cinémathèque 2 years ago at the Cinémathèque Québécoise and at Cinéma Moderne, which are in Montreal for the 10-year anniversary. And so, yeah, I was always amazed by how that little movie was able to travel and reach the world as it did. Mm, mm.
I'm sure a lot of your fans want to know, do you have any future plans for a follow-up feature?
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, people ask me a lot of the time, how come it takes so long? Well, I did, as you said, like a couple of shorts, a mid-feature, the thing from the lake for Adult Time, which is a porn company, but really like that movie. It was fun to do, and it traveled in festivals too. We went to Berlin with it. We went to some screening that were really fun. And short film, I've directed short film after Thanatomorphose. I wrote 3 books. Well, they are in French, but I wrote 3 books. So, I mean, about film. So there was also that. And in fact, I was working on a big sex comedy movie that didn't may we weren't able to find to secure the fundings to do it. So it took a couple of years of my life working on that films, and we had the crew, we had the cast, we had really everything. So it was storyboarded, it was a big movie, so it didn't work. So that couple of years where I wasn't able to do it. But right now I have 2 projects, which I won't talk about because I don't want to spoil everything. But I have 2 projects, one that I've written myself, that I will try to do it independently, and there's another one that will start doing some markets and stuff to get the fundings, but it isn't written by me, it's written by a friend of mine, Alice Bedard. But so that's the two next project, 2 feature films that I will try to make in the next, if everything goes well, 2 years, I hope. But we'll see. But yeah, yeah. So that's what happened after Thanatomorphose. I was quite busy, but the other feature length that I tried to do didn't work out. Yeah.
Um, as a general wrap-up, what would you say draws you to extreme material? Not just horror, but people
Mhm.
would call, a lot of people refer to Thanatomorphose as an extreme cinema film.
Mhm.
What do you think draws you to the sort of visceral qualities of extreme cinema?
I think there's 2 main reasons. The first one is that these kind of movies, and it links back to the one I've discovered when I was younger, they really elicit strong reactions in yourself, and sometimes you don't understand them. Sometimes you're just reacting to something and you're angry, pissed off, depressed, whatever that got on that these emotions. I mean, it's one of the thing that makes you think about yourself because you have to understand why you felt that way with that particular movies and how it made you feel. And I think it's really a way of how can I say that? It's for me, it's how a lot of time I discover myself and I try to understand who I am. So there's kind of self-growing and discovery in that kind of experience. The other thing is that these movies are always deal, or most of the time deals with the margins. What are at the margins of our culture and what we considered taboo uh, or acceptable or what is good, what is wrong in a in a definite in a particular moment in time culturally. And for me, I really think that they try to push boundaries, but also they try to experiment and to understand what are the do's and don'ts of our different societies and cultures. And just for that, they are important, and that's why they are on the ground or they are considered extreme, but because they're working on these margins. And that's why too that some of these movies, maybe like yeah, 50 years after their release, they become mainstream. But um, when they get out, usually they don't get mainstream right away. It's impossible if they're working on these margin and on these extreme dynamics that makes us what we are. So that's the two main reason I think why I'm really drawn to these movies and that I do these movies too. I don't sit saying to myself, okay, I will make a weird movie or an extreme movie or whatever. But that's what come out of me. And because that's what's inside of me, and that's the kind of experience I like when I go to watch a film. So I guess I wrote and I do the film for myself. And then afterward, yeah, it's fun that we can communicate with others because if it if I feel this way, there's someone somewhere that might also feel this way, and we can connect, and that's cool, and that's great. Yeah.
And that's art.
Yep, yep.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for being here. For people who are looking for your work, who want to know more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can just go on my website, www.ericfalardeau.com. So it's easy to find, and you can still find Thanatomorphose on DVD and Blu-ray if you look around. Asmodeus too, you can find it, but write to me by through my website, and everything is easy to find. Just type my name, you will find me.
Well, thank you so much again for being here, and I hope you had a great holiday.
Thank you very much, and see you later
Yep,
then.
my pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.